なんか端的になるでしょ。免疫力が低下してるでしょ。Demand that one day you're summoned before the government panel even though you haven't committed any crime or been formally charged. You're repeatedly questioned about your political views, accused of disloyalty, and asked to incriminate your friend and associate. If you don't cooperate, you risk jail or losing your job. This is exactly what happened in the United States in the 1915 as a part of a campaign to expose suspected communists. Named after its most notorious practitioner, the phenomenon known as Marxism destroyed thousands of lives and careers. For over a decade, American political leaders trampled democratic freedom in the name of protecting them. During the 1930s and 1940s, there had been an active but small Communist Party in the United States. Its record was mixed. Crucial roles in multiple struggles for labor and civil rights, it also supported union. From the start, the American Communist Party faced attacks from conservatives and business leaders, as well as from liberals, who criticized its ties to the Soviet regime. During World War II, the USSR allied against Hitler. Some American communists actually supplied the Russians, and the Cold War escalated and the espionage became known. Domestic communism came to be seen as a threat to the national security. Eliminate that threat soon turned into the longest-lasting and widespread episode of political repression in American history. Spurred on a network of bureaucrats, politicians, journalists, and businessmen, the campaign widely exaggerated the danger of communist subversion. The people had lost anyone suspected of holding rest of political views was associating those who dared. If you hang modern art on your walls, multiracial social circles, or sign petitions against nuclear weapons, you might just have been communist. Starting in the late 1940s, FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover used the resources his agency to hunt down such supposed communists and eliminate them from any positions of influence in the American society. The criteria that Hoover and his allies used to screen spread to the rest of the country. Soon, Hollywood studios, universities, car manufacturers, and thousands of employers who worked for them. Meanwhile, it's mission. Hundreds of people testified before investigators avoided like the House American cooperate. They could be jailed for commitment, or commonly fired, blacklisted. Ambitious politicians like Richard Nixon and Joseph McCarthy used such hearings as a poison weapon, accusing Democrats of being soft on communism and deliberately losing China to the communist bloc. McCarthy, a Republican senator from Wisconsin, became notorious by fronting ever-changing lists of alleged communists within the State Department. Egged on by other politicians, he continued to make outrageous accusations while fabricating evidence. Many citizens reviled McCarthy, while others praised him. The Korean War broke out, vindicated. It was his investigation of the army that finally turned public opinion against him and diminished his power. McCarthy's colleagues Senate censored him, and he died less than years later, probably alcoholism. McCarthyism and as well. It has ruined thousands of lives and drastically narrowed the American political spectrum. It will be long-lasting. In all likelihood, they are both Democrats and Republicans. Peers directly opposing them or carriers. If the Supreme Court constitutional rights in the name of national security was domestic communism and actual threat. Government, perhaps a small one. The reaction to it so extreme that caused far more damage than threat. And if demagogues uncertain time attack on purpose, could it all happen? Of the presidency of the United States. Only one has left office as a result. Does Richard Nixon deserve to remember for and ended his presidency? Find out as we put this disgraced president's legacy on trial in history. Richard Nixon. Order. Now who is the defendant today, Sam Clark? No, Your Honor, this is Richard Nixon. Hold on. As a number of years as for the president, various President Nixon pardon and President Ford who took over after. His crown exposed. But these crimes? Your Honor, the Watergate scandal was one of the grossest abuses of presidential power in history. Nixon broke into the Democratic National Committee headquarters to wiretap offices and dig up dirt on the part. It was established that the president did not totally unhandle it. He did everything to cover it up. Ryan. But it was for the good of country. He did so much during his office and could have done so much more, jeopardizing his accomplishment. Yes, Your Honor. Did you know it was President Nixon who proposed the creation of the Environmental Protection Agency? The National Environmental Policy Act into law, not to mention Endangered Species Act, Marine Mammal Protection Act, Expansion Clean Out. Progressive? Hardly. Peacefully. That literally is a clear violation of the Logan Act of 1799. Is brutal military dictator. Being anti-communist didn't mean neglecting the poor. He proposed to guarantee basic income for all American families. This burglary business. Business may have violated the law or two, but what was the real harm compared to what he accomplished were? The harm was to democracy. The whole point of the ideas claimed to promote abroad is that the leader of a country people hold themselves above the law, whatever reason. Those ideas are undermined and don't fall accountable to the law or be at the job. Many politicians for law corrupts, threaten the very public, the nation built on. Those who do so may find that the untainted in history is put on trial. Imagine you're watching a runaway trolley straight toward 5 workers who can't escape. You happen to need to switch the vital trolley onto the second track. Here's a problem. That truck has a worker on the two. It was a mistake, completely mistake. What do you do? This save one person to save 5? This is a trolley problem, a version of escape drama developed by Philip Hood, devised in 1967. It's popular because it forces good or good choices to repeat that outcome without causing someone's death. In one survey, about 19% of respondents said that it's okay to replace the switch. And other studies, including a virtual reality simulation of the drama, have found similar results. These judgments are consistent changing. We're doing a thought experiment and a virtual reality study. But in the bridge version, the emotional response is much stronger. Once one is pushing someone to the death feels more personal, activating emotional to killing the person. It will conflicted because logical choice. Theology, criticized by some philosophers and psychologists, they argue that it doesn't reveal anything because it promises so unless that participants don't take it seriously. But new technology is making this kind of ethical analysis more important than ever. For example, may have to handle choices, small accidents prevent larger ones. Meanwhile, okay.短期かよ。Beginning the lane.振りてんやんけ。On the large-scale implementation, during World War I. Eugenics, the idea that desirable and genetic traits be controlled in humans through selective breeding. There are many problems in this line of thinking. The idea intelligence not only fixed and inherited, but also linked to a person's race. And the influence of eugenics scientists is the result of the military initiative to make erroneous claims without taking into tested were new immigrants in the United States who lacked a formal education or English exposures. They created an erroneous intelligence hierarchy. Our ethnic intersection influenced not only science but policy as well. In 1924, a state of allowing the following forced sterilization of people with low IQ score. A decision in the United States Supreme Court upheld. Its decision authorized the murder of children based on low IQ. Following the Holocaust, civil rights movement, both moral and scientific grounds, scientists began to environmental input. For example, as IQ tests are periodically recalibrated, new generations scored consistently higher on all tests than each previous generation. Known as the Fourier effect, happened much too fast because inherited evolutionary traits. Environmental, better healthcare, a practice reader does not yield clinically useful information. Today, IQ tests employ many similar design elements and types of questions as the early test. They are no longer used to diagnose psychiatric conditions. Summary practice using subtest scores is still sometimes used to diagnose disabilities against the advice of many experts. Psychologists around the world still use IQ tests to identify intellectual disabilities, and the result can be used to determine appropriate educational support, job training, and system living. IQ test results have been used to justify horrific policies and scientifically baseless ideologies. That doesn't mean test itself is worthless. In fact, it does a good job. But that isn't the same thing as measuring a person's potential. So there are many complicated political, historical, scientific issues wrapped in IQ testing. More and more research agree on this point. together, find out what these tests actually measure. Is this video? Learn more in this video. And Reverend Mah-Jong found imposed in 1955. This progressive religious movement rose in popularity and gained support from some San Francisco's most prominent politicians. But in 1977, a brainwashing and abuse. Utopian progress. The colony was more like a prison camp. Some congressional delegation rather investigated conditions, then executed final plan. On November 1878, 900 men and women died after being forced to drink poisoned River Aid. That grisly image sends the motorized short and stram for single-minded cult-like thinking. They drink the Kool-Aid. Today, there's thousands of cults around the world. It's important to note two things about first. Some are political therapy-based, focus on self-improvement, while on the flip side, not all new religions what we're referring to as a cult. So what exactly defines our modern understanding of cult, and why do people join them? Broadly speaking, a cult is a group of movement with shared commitment, usually extreme ideology, that typically charismatic leader. Lieutenant 1997. Most cults share some basic characteristics. A typical cult requires a high level of commitment from its members. It maintains a strict hierarchy, separating unsuspecting supporters, recruits, and workings. It claims live answers biggest questions through its doctrine. None that requires a recipe from change, especially new members, true believer. And most importantly, it uses both formal and informal systems to influence control to keep members obedient. It's little tolerant for interdisagreement or external scrutiny. You might wonder that some of these descriptions might also apply to aspirant religions. In fact, most cult religions describe people who cultivated worship. Then in time, excessive devotion. In religions, by contrast, separate its members from others, for guidelines live better lives. A cult therefore personal. Desire from many make one susceptible, friendly people, offering community. Sometimes taking months to establish our relationship. In fact, more than 2/3 of course members are recruited by friends and family members and co-workers whose invitations are hard to refuse. Once in a cult, members are subjected to multiple forms of indoctrination, some natural inclination to mimic social behavior or follow orders. Other methods may be more intense, using techniques of coercive persuasions, guilt, shame, and fear, and in many cases may willingly submit out of desire to belong and entertain. The cult environment discourages critical thinking, and it has to avoid modern absolute faith. The resulting internal conflict normally keeps it in compromise and not called deaths, they can still harmful. I deny basic freedom speech association causes standard psychological and emotional a particular problem for children who are deprived of normal developmental activities amongst them. Nevertheless, many cult members eventually find a way out, whether through realization that they have family and friends who run the cult for the external pressure and scandals. Many cults may be hard to identify. For some, their beliefs, no matter how strange, are protected under religious freedom. But when the practices involve harassment, threat, illegal activities, or abuse, law can intervene. Believing in something should not come at the cost of family and friends. Sacrifice your relationships or morality for the greater good. They are most likely exploiting you for their own. You and the fellow castaway are stranded on a desert island playing dice for the last banana. You agreed on these rules. You roll 2 dice. 4. Player 1 wins. If the biggest number is 5 or 6, player 2 wins. Let's try twice more. Here, player 1 wins. And here is player 2. So who do you want to be? At first glance, it may seem like player 1 has the advantage, since even if anyone for numbers is the highest. But actually, the player has approximately 56% of chance of winning each match. One may see that the list of possible combinations you can get by rolling 2 dice and then each player wins.